Persona 3 Reload is releasing on February 2nd. It's been nearly 18 years since the original Persona 3 was released, and we get a remake before the soon-to-be-announced Persona 6. I know a lot of Persona fans started at 3, and for the newcomers out there, you're probably wondering what the hype is all about. Well, you've come to the right video, as this is another everything you need to know before you buy, where I gather all the news and trailers from an upcoming game, showcasing the story, the gameplay, and formulate an opinion on whether you should buy this game, giving you some guidance and knowledge. So here's everything you need to know before you buy Persona 3 Reload. July 13th, 2006 was the release of Persona 3 in Japan for the PlayStation 2. America got the game a year after and Europe 2 years. For those who don't know, Persona is a spin-off to the Megami Tensei series, which then became the Shin Megami Tensei series, abbreviated as SMT. In the past, as a way to market the franchise, ATLUS, the developers, would add SMT to many of its spin-offs, including Persona. In fact, Persona 3's full title is Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3, and the name would phase away after Persona 4 Arena and Golden. SMT and Persona share many elements, like how both series have the same demons, or in this case personas, which I believe is one of the main appeals of the franchise. In terms of story, SMT is set in a post-apocalyptic world, focusing on philosophy and alignments, whereas Persona uses a high school setting, focusing on psychological personas and themes. As said before, Persona 3 Reload is a remake to the 2006 Persona 3. There's actually two enhanced versions of the game, Persona 3 Fez, which included an epilogue called The Answer, and Persona 3 Portable, that was initially released on the PSP that includes an option to play as a female protagonist. In fact, there's a Famitsu article where the producer Ryota Nitsuma confirms this, saying that they intended to remake the original Persona 3, but there'll be some content from Fez added to the remake. However, I do believe ATLUS may have some plans in the future that will include The Answer and the female protagonist. I'll go into more detail later on near the end of the video. As for the story, the game is set in the year 2009. We follow Makoto Yuki, the protagonist, who arrives at Tatsumi Pod Island. He's a transfer student currently moving into a Wadai dormitory. After a few events, he joins a group called SEAS, the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad. Majority of the members live at the dormitory, and they're investigating an anomaly called the Dark Hour that takes place at midnight. During the Dark Hour, normal people are transmogrified into coffins, and they don't remember anything afterwards. However, monsters called shadows lurk about, and they can lure people out of the coffins. Once they do, they consume the person's psyche, afflicting them with a condition, turning them into a vegetative state outside the Dark Hour. The members of SEAS have the ability to summon personas, and they can freely roam about in the Dark Hour, exterminating the shadows. Unlike the rest, Makoto is a special case, as he has the ability to summon multiple personas. SEAS have a lead on where the shadows are coming from, a tower called Tartarus that appears during the Dark Hour, located at the high school they all attend. They investigate Tartarus, overcoming many adversaries and uncovering many secrets related to the Dark Hour. Now, the whole story lasts about a school year, and Persona 3 was the first game in the series to introduce a social simulation system, where the player goes through the game day by day, replicating the life of a high school student. The social part of the simulation relates to a mechanic of the game called social links, also known as confidants in Persona 5. There are specific characters in the game that the protagonist can build a bond with, and spending more time with them will level up their social link. Each social link represents a major arcana, and each arcana has a pool of personas you can unlock and fuse into. Maxing out a social link will unlock the ultimate persona of the arcana, so it's worth maxing out every social link. Which brings us to the big changes the remake has, as well as the gameplay. The first big change is obviously the graphics. From character designs, to the models, to the interface. The game's got a new modern upgrade compared to the 2006 release. Even the combat looks different, with animated cut-ins when they summon their persona, and new all-out attack screens for each party member, which was present in Persona 5. Another new change is that they've added link episodes. They're different from social links, and it uses the same concept of spending time with characters, but you can also spend time with characters that you couldn't establish a social link with, which is an interesting addition. Completing link episodes will reward you with stat boosts, as well as unlocking some special fusion recipes. The combat also has some new changes. The first one is a new mechanic called Shift, which is similar to the battle passes in Persona 5. With the one more mechanic when you get an extra turn after exploiting an enemy's weakness, it'll give you a lot more options on the offense. The second is another new mechanic called Theurgy, a special skill that every playable character have, each with different effects. To use this skill, you have to fill a gauge by using melee attacks or skills. Each character can fill their gauge faster by doing a certain action, for example, using a healing skill or landing a critical hit. Lastly, Shuffle Time, a mechanic that happens after ending a battle with an all-out attack, has changed. It gave the player additional rewards like bonus items or experience, for example. Reload Shuffle Time uses Persona 4 Golden's Shuffle Time, incorporating both major and minor arcana cards. Only minor arcana cards was in the original Persona 3. Also, the cards aren't shuffled anymore, allowing you to choose the cards. What's new is that collecting a maximum number of major arcana cards will result in an arcana burst, leveling up the rank of minor arcana cards and strengthening their effects. There are many more quality of life changes. For example, the protagonist can now dash while exploring Tartarus, and now there's an auto recovery feature. The list goes on, and I don't want to make the video too long, so I'll end this section with 2 more new changes. The first change I want to talk about is the new cast of voice actors for the English dub. I know some people might be disappointed that ATLUS isn't using the original voice actors except for Elizabeth. However, the new cast are no slouches. For example, we have Alex Lee who voices Luke in Street Fighter and Susie Young who voices Yuffie in the Final Fantasy VII remake. Usually I go for the Japanese dub, but since it's Persona 3, I have to go for the English dub, and with the lineup, I'm not going to be disappointed at all. The final change I want to discuss is the music. Persona 3 wouldn't be itself if it wasn't for the music. Mass Destruction, changing seasons, you name it, it had an iconic soundtrack. Fortunately, ATLUS has brought back Lowe's Shoes as the male vocalist, but they have replaced the original female vocalist, Yumi Kawamura, with Azumi Takahashi. Hearing the new Advantage Battle music, It's Going Down Now, and another new track, Color Your Night, Takahashi is doing a great job in my opinion, and I have no qualms with her performance. She also sings Mass Destruction, which is arranged differently, and now it's used for regular battles. It doesn't have the same energy as the original, but It's Going Down Now, it's filling in that gap. Finally, the question you've been waiting for, should you buy Persona 3 Reload? But before we get into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down your thoughts on the game, I'd love to hear it. If you haven't played Persona 3 or any Persona games at all, I would recommend buying this game. With the new changes from the original Persona 3, I think fans and newcomers will appreciate the remake. Tartarus won't be a slog like it used to be, so that's definitely a plus, and with the Link episodes, it'll flesh out some characters. However, there is a reason you may not choose to buy this game, and that is, in the future, Persona 3 Reload may have an enhanced version. We got Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5 Royal, maybe there'll be a Persona 3 Reloaded. The reason why I think that is because in the opening movie of Reload, we briefly see the female protagonist, and in my opinion, it would be weird if ATLUS didn't do anything beyond that, giving a bit of hope for the portable fans out there. If an enhanced version does come out, you may be interested in buying that instead. Hopefully Persona 3 Reload will attract newcomers to the series. I started at 3, and I think it's a good starting point, paving the way for 4 and 5. And after those 2, you may be interested in 1 and 2, but the prequels are very different games compared to its successors. And that's it for this video, I hope you enjoyed it. February is a quiet month for games, so I have a bit of downtime to plan ahead. The next Everything You Need to Know video will be about Unicorn Overlord, a real-time tactical RPG developed by Vanillaware. That video will be out a week before its release, the 1st of March. So be sure to subscribe and check out the channel while you wait. Anyways, that's it for me. As always, I'll see you next time and catch you guys later. Take care.